If I could get the lesson without getting a foot in my ass, I think I'd be, I would do that. I would do that. If I could get the lesson without getting a foot in my ass. I was talking off tape about something, because I always talk ahead of time. And I was thinking about this whole thing about positive thinking. That's going to be a topic I would talk about a million times ad nauseum, because I think it's important. I think it's very important, but I also understand people who are against positive thinking. I think people who are against positive thinking have taken things too far, insofar as being against it. I have a positive attitude, but I think what it is this. Much of my attitude isn't so much, I think that there are two types of positive thinkers. There are positive thinkers who are realistic positive thinkers, like me. And I consider myself to be a realistic positive thinker. And then there are unrealistic positive thinkers. People who think that somehow just thinking positive alone is all you need to do. I was thinking about something, about me, and about how I've done well when I've gone to the doctor for the past couple of years. Now, for a long time, I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't want to deal with doctors. But I knew I was sick. I knew I was getting very sick. I weighed 152 pounds. I'm 6'1". I weighed 152 pounds. That's very much underweight. Now I actually need to lose weight. I weighed 200 about last time I weighed myself, I was 220 pounds. But I was getting really skinny. People thought I was dying of something, which I was dying of something. I was dying from being diabetic, and my blood sugar was probably way off the scale. When I first went to the doctor, if anybody understands the A1C test and the numbers, my numbers were 14. My A1C test was 14. I was doing bad. I was in bad shape. Now I'm doing a lot better. Last time I went to the doctor, my A1C test was 7. It should be lower. I've had it down in about the mid, like 6 point something. So, but it was actually lower than it was the time before. I actually doing quite well. And I know I can do better. I can work on doing it better. But the reason why I do so much better now isn't just because of a positive attitude. I think that when I went back to the doctor, I had positive attitude, because I made up my mind. I thought to myself, and this is important. This is where I like to talk about positive thinking in a very realistic way. There are people who think that, again, I don't really go with that ideal that if you just think positive, everything will work. If you have cancer, for example, and you sit there and you think, well, gee, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to think positive. I'm going to think positive, and my cancer will go away. Well, it's not going to go away if you don't seek medical help. You need to go to the doctor. You need to go and get treatment. Getting the treatment combined with a positive attitude is a good ideal. However, positive thinking is not magical. It's not supernatural. See, I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't believe in the supernatural. I'm somebody who does believe in God, but I don't see God as supernatural. I've often heard, and this is not a religious argument, but my God, the God that I believe in, is not a supernatural God. God is a part of nature. Maybe God is nature. Some people might say, well, in that case, you're an atheist. This is not a theist versus atheist argument. I'm just saying that. That's how I frame my idea of God. And that's not the point, though. But the main point I want to say is I don't believe in supernatural. But I do think that when you think positive, it gives you a good architecture to work toward. Because when you're focusing on being positive, you're focusing on making progress. That's what I'm talking about. Making progress, moving in a progressive direction toward making it better. Like I'm thinking to myself, for example, how can I get my A1C test even lower? I want to go from 7.0 to 6. So what I've been doing is really been very aggressively working on that. being even more careful in watching my blood sugar levels, testing more often, watching what I eat, being more careful about the way I count my carbohydrates and making sure I match that with the insulin. Now, notice that everything I'm talking about is actual action that I'm taking. Not just thinking positive, but action. Setting a goal and focusing on that goal. I think that this is the kind of positive thinking I'm talking about. It's more realistic than just, like the stuff they talk about in The Secret. I have The Secret. I have the book. I haven't read it, by the way. But I did see the movie, the little DVD thing. And I actually don't think that The Secret... I know a lot of people criticize that. And I have my own criticisms of it. And I do have... But I don't think it's terribly bad. I think that there is something good and bad in it. And I'm going to explain that. I'm going to be a little bit of a movie critic. I think The Secret, the way in which they express it in that thing, is bad in a certain way. Because it's teaching you supernatural magic thinking stuff, which I'm not a part of, and I don't believe in that. I don't think that if you walk past a store window and you look at like a watch, let's say I see a Rolex watch. I saw a really beautiful one in Las Vegas once a few years ago. It was like $21,000. And I've even seen some on the internet for like $40,000. Though I wouldn't want a Rolex watch anyway. I don't care about that. But if you look at that stuff and you wish for it, somehow the universe, you send out these waves to the universe, and somehow the universe knows that you want this, and in some way the Rolex watch is just going to magically show up in your life. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I should make a link to a really funny video that was making fun of that. But I'm not going to do that. But it was funny, these Australian guys. If you just, put in a search thing, The Secret is bullshit, I think you'll find that video. It was funny. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I don't think that just thinking about something makes things happen. But sometimes things can appear to be that way. For many years, I used to dream about going to Europe, traveling, going places. Traveling to all the places I've always wanted to go to. I wanted to go back to Japan because I went there before when I was a kid. I wanted to go back. And I wanted to go to Europe. And I wanted to go to Mexico. And I wanted to go all over the place. And when I was on welfare, when I didn't have much money, I used to fantasize and dream about that. And then when I got a job and I'm able to do this stuff, I wound up doing every one of those things I had imagined doing. I did the things I used to fantasize. However, it didn't happen because of supernatural stuff. But I also think it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't dreamed of it. If I hadn't fantasized about it, it would not have occurred. But I'm not talking about supernatural. I think a lot of people have accomplished things, many of us, and we all know we've either done it ourselves or we know people who have dreamed about doing something and then did it. But that is just, all that the dreams or the fantasies do is just give you a framework. Something, a goal that you set and you work toward it. It's really common sense. You set a goal and you work toward that goal. And you actually do something. And you have a positive attitude in the sense that you say, I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to set the goal toward doing that. To expect it's just something to drop from the sky, I mean, that doesn't happen. Sometimes, though, things seem like it happens that way. I mean, there are times when like when I went to Spain, and I was thinking, because I had this fantasy when I was on welfare. There were 5 cities I wanted to visit, and this was the final city that I said I wanted to visit. And then that plane landed in Madrid, and I said, "Wow!" I was thinking, I said, I used to be on welfare, and I used to dream about this. And now I've done it. It seems almost magical, but when you think about it and look back on it, you realize it took definite efforts and steps and things I had to do to get there. It didn't happen magically, but it appears to be magical. There's a difference between things appearing to be magical and things actually being magical. No, I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in supernatural. But things can appear to be that way. So when I'm talking about positive thinking, I'm not really talking about supernatural. I'm talking about setting a goal, having a frame of something you want to do, and then taking steps. And if you don't take those steps, it's not going to happen. You have to make things happen. That's my thing on positive thinking. And that's all I have to say.